Hey friend, welcome to Healthy with Heather Brown. If you don't know where to start with balancing being healthy and loving the life you already have, I got you, friend. And yes, of course, we're still going to enjoy some Chick-fil-A. I'm here to come alongside you and encourage you to fall more in love with your creator, your spouse, your kids, and your own health journey. We'll talk about how to let your good things grow until they become daily habits, with the occasional dad joke and point of view from my Yankee hubby, Eric. Don't stress. Let's hop on this Hot Mess Express together. So join me, Heather Brown, as we unpack what it looks like to live a life well loved. Welcome back to another episode of Healthy with Heather Brown. Guess who's in the building? Toni Collier. What? I'm so excited. Welcome, Toni.
So much energy at the beginning.
Yes. And if you don't know who Toni Collier is, she's going to tell you right now, and then I'll tell you our backstory.
And all the things.
All the things. That's right.
I'm not much, man, but I will say I'm a pretty wild girl. Okay. I have a wild past with some trauma and some abuse in it. And if there's one thing that'll refine you and make you grow up a little quick and also make you a little wild, it's trauma in your past. Okay. Surprise.
Amen. Amen, sister. Yes.
But I have been redeemed in many ways. I'm still a little ratchet, a little rough around the edges, but I've been through divorce. I've gotten remarried. I mean, just so much redemption, so much health, so much, going after counseling and healing and all the things. And I wrote a book about it to help people get their lives together as I get my life together.
I love it. So great. I found out about Toni because my sister-in-law, those of you that listen to the podcast, Janelle Brown, she is obsessed with Sam Collier, which is Toni's husband. And he has a podcast called
A Greater Story.
A Greater Story. Yes. And tell him the tagline because I love it.
When your story connects to God's story, it leads to a greater story.
Boom. Yes. I love it so much. I'm like marketing win right there, Sam and team. So Janelle went to, do you remember what conference it was?
It was like Catalyst, Orange Conference, one of them, but my boo was there.
So Janelle met Sam and then Toni, and she was like, Heather, don't get me wrong. I still love Sam and I love his podcast, but she was like, Toni is where it's at. Toni is a hoot.
This wild one. I know. I mean, he's like the guy that's like saved at 16. And meanwhile, I'm like twerking. I'm in a split and a handstand at 18, 16, 17. So I'm sure she was like, let's pick the crazy one. Let's do it.
So anyway, Janelle came back from this trip raving about the Colliers and just how cool and down to earth they are and all the things. So I was like, oh man, that's awesome. And I started listening to Sam's podcast. And then, I mean, you blink and it's 2 years down the road and I've got my own podcast. And I'm like, you know what? I want to have Toni Collier on my podcast. And when she said yes, I was like, oh, hell yes. So that's right. So, because they always say, if it's not a hell yes, it's a no.
It's a hard no, okay? If it's red, you're dead, is what they also say, okay? Greens all the way.
There you go. So, Toni, tell us a little bit about like your day-to-day. Tell us about Broken Crayons. Tell us, if people haven't heard of you before, which they probably have at this point, tell them all about you.
Man, it's crazy. Because every day looks different at this point. I get the immense privilege to be an entrepreneur, to travel, speak, all the things. And so one week I could be up here wiping crusty noses of my kids, okay? And the next week I'm in Rwanda, Africa, right? Like, speaking, it's like nuts. And then there are other weeks where I get to hop on Zooms and sit with women and help them heal. Like I get to be a hope coach and a guide to so many women through my organization, Broken Crayons, Still Color, which essentially is just an organization that's helping women heal. Like we just develop resources that help women heal, from courses to all the things. We have a course called the Hopeful Woman course. We also have a divorce course, right? We're not teaching people how to divorce.
Really? I didn't know that. Ooh.
Don't get twisted, guys. But we are saying like, there's some real things that happen after you get a divorce, like being a little wild, a little ratchet afterwards, wanting some, having resentment and wanting revenge. I mean, all the things. And it's like, how do you come out on the other side of a divorce healthy, right? So we have all these things. I get to do all that. So it's like mom, entrepreneur, hope coach, travel and speaker. It's nuts, all of it.
Yes. And it's awesome. And how old are your kids?
Okay, so I have an 8-year-old strong-willed blessing is what we call her because it helps us sleep at night.
Yes.
And then we have a 7-month-old.
Yes. So cute.
I mean, talk about starting over. He is
so cute.
Literally just a little roly-poly. He's just a sweet little roly-poly and he's only got hair on the top of his head and it's looking like a little Cabbage Patch doll. And it's the best.
I've been eyeing him on your social media. That's for sure. He's so cute. So I will say that I am like so impressed that you're like back at it already, like at the full throttle speed you are, because he's so little. I'm like, get it, girl.
He is little. And we actually, I mean, at 7 weeks, we were in Mexico. I mean, that's 7 weeks postpartum. So it has been a run. It has been crazy. We have a wonderful traveling nanny that traveled with me the whole time on book tour and all the things. But it's like that. I don't know if anyone is listening has seen that Beyonce special on Netflix, but she had just had twins and then she decided to do Coachella. And in one of her interviews, she was like, I'll never do that to my body again. Let me just tell you, I'll never do that to my body.
So if even Beyonce says no, it's too much. It's too much.
I mean, I'm not saying I'm Beyonce, but also hello. Okay. Okay. Can't sing, but I can speak. Okay. And so, yeah, it was super hard.
Yeah, for sure. I was telling Janelle that you were in the show and she was like, okay, well, you have got to ask Toni. She was like, I'm just fascinated by it. Like, how does she and Sam still stay connected? Because obviously everybody's on their own balancing act. Like you're just on a seesaw all the time trying to find the balance. How do you and Sam reconnect and find that balance?
You know, it's interesting because our whole marriage is kind of like flip-flop. Like at first, Sam was traveling and I really didn't have a platform. And so I was just honestly a groupie wife. I was on the road, sitting in the hotels, cheering him on, doing our thing. And it was really easy to connect because we lived our life on the road together, you know, with our kids and all the things. Well, then when I got on the road and both of us did, we did not transition well. I was like, what is going on? Quality time is my love language. Why aren't we spending quality time together? And he's like, listen to what I'm going to say to you. It is you, ma'am. Okay. I have been living the same life. Now you want to call yourself famous out here. You're gone. And so now we're both gone and it's crazy. And so we started to set some rules and some boundaries, right? Like boundaries that are strong enough to keep the bad stuff out, permeable enough to let the good stuff in. Like that's just kind of one of our mottos. So we said, well, first of all, we were spending 90% of our time together during the honeymoon phase. Now that we really know each other, we don't like to spend all that time with each other. Okay. I want you to do this. It's like, well, I got to be in and out. Like I can't just stay on the road. Like I have to come and then I got to come back with my family. We do weekly date nights. It's just our stilo. We did a date night last night. We went to go watch Avatar, ended up watching Us. The movie ended up watching us and we had to go home, didn't even finish it, but we were still out. Okay. We were still out and about. But those are some of the things. It's not about being cute. It's not about how in love we are. It's like all that stuff's sexy and attractive and cute and awesome, but it's about how we can sit down and create strategies and boundaries around our marriage because we need them. We need rules.
Amen. Okay. And so much of what you said there, I'm like, whoa, let's unpack all that. I'm like, oh gosh. I'm like, let's start with boundaries. And what does that look like for you guys though with your kids? Like now you're trying to figure out, well, now we've got a second kid in the mix. It's baby versus, I think you said an 8-year-old. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
What do the boundaries look like for them? Because we all know kids are craving boundaries. And when they don't get the boundaries, they're acting out. So what does that look like on the road with you guys?
Well, first and foremost, like with my first kid, I was like, I followed all the rules as we do with first kids. It's like, don't touch her, don't make eye contact during bedtime, all the really crazy things. And for my second kid, for our son, I was like, I want to switch it up. Like, let me just like cuddle with him and it's fine. He doesn't really need a schedule. No, it's going to be a hard no. Okay. At 5 weeks, I remember saying, if everyone else on the world is on a schedule, why wouldn't my kids who are really just like bipolar little small human beings, okay? Crazy drunk little human beings, they actually need a schedule. And so one of the things that we agreed on is putting our kids on a schedule. And I bring that up because right now it's like a thing. Like it's like,
yeah,
hey, kind of just flow with your kids. That just doesn't work for us. When we're on the road, when we're in different time zones, like I need to know what to expect and my kids need to know what to expect. That's healthy for them. They need to know at this time I'm going to eat because our world is changing all the time. So we're in and out of hotels. So we need a North Star. And so that's super important for our family. So we don't play about schedules. We don't play about calendars. Bedtime is bedtime. We don't do that whole, oh, we out till midnight. It's like, no, we not.
No, we're home by 8 p.m. Check it.
And then one of the things that we also agreed with is to be okay with help. That was hard for me early on. I was like, I remember when I was pregnant, my husband was like, babe, we really need to get someone in here. I was like, I'm super mom. I'm not sure what you're talking about, but I'm about to crush it. Okay. And he's like, you are great. It's so incredible, but you're going to need some help. And I'm so glad I listened to him. And that's his strength. You know, his strength is like asking for help. That's my weakness. Like, I don't want to ask for help. And so we have someone that lives with us that helps us out. And we balance that really well by not taking advantage of that, but also being honest about the fact that we need time. We need to go on dates. We need to be able to leave the kids when we need to, because our life is so hectic. We have to have someone that's like always on standby. Like, let's just make sure this happens. So those are some of the things that's really helpful for us.
Okay. I love what you said just then about like, okay, First of all, moms usually have a hard time being like, I need help. Like, that's just hard for us to raise the white flag. So, how have you started to do that? And will you also tell us a little bit, like, I feel like that almost like weaves into Broken Crayon Soul Color. So, will you tell everybody a little bit more about Broken Crayon Soul Color, what it looks like to ask for help in every avenue of your life almost?
I think at the end of the day, there was an awareness and a responsibility that I had to take by saying, sweet girl, like you've got some weaknesses here and you have been masking them as strengths. You've been masking it by saying, oh my gosh, like I'm such an incredible multitasker. I can handle anything. I have so much capacity. And there was a moment in my life where I had to ask myself the question, is it capacity that I'm reaching or is it perfection? Like, is it capacity that I'm reaching for or is it running myself dry? And I had to do my work, obviously, go back in my past and really understand that I have been living a life of just completely running and off of exhaustion, like just completely running off of fumes. And growing up, my dad would applaud that. He wouldn't applaud like mediocre in his mind things. He would applaud like, don't make excuses. If you're tired and still work, like that's when you're the most valuable. That's when you're the most useful. And I had been doing that for so long that I became an adult, brought all them childhood wounds into my adulthood. And I was doing that in every aspect in parenting. And we don't want to talk about this, but you need breaks from your kids. Okay. These suckers will run you ragged. They just will. And we need to be able to bring our best selves into our relationships, our parenting, our marriages, our workplaces. And a big key for me was admitting that I've got some unhealthy tendencies and I need to check them suckers at the door with my pride, because that's what it was. I want to look better than what I am. I don't want to admit my faults and weaknesses. I don't want to be broken. No, I want to wake up every morning and I want my eyebrows to look like twins, not cousins. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm trying to be perfect out here, baby. Okay.
That's right.
And it was in the place of acknowledging my brokenness that I found the most power, right? Because it doesn't take, I say this to my daughter all the time, it don't take a whole bunch of courage to show up and play perfect. You playing perfect doesn't take a whole lot of courage. It takes courage to say, I am weak in this area. I am battling with this addiction. I have this as my Achilles heel. This is my kryptonite. It takes real bravery to show up in that, surrender that, and then heal it, right? Like look at the pain and say, all right, I got some work to do. And that's what Broken Crayons is all about. It's about pushing people to a place where they can be okay with staring pain in the face, embracing pain, and finding hope and healing through that instead of like fake healing and fake peace.
Toni, let's unpack that a little bit because that is our culture right now where we're like, you just slap some self-care Band-Aids on it. You do a face mask, girl. You're going to feel great.
Get that hair done, girl.
That's right. But is that going to make us feel better, really?
For 5 minutes.
But literally, though, maybe not even that. You might be miserable while you're doing it. Look in the mirror, you're like, that looks so scary.
Go follow and stalking your ex-boyfriend on the page while you're getting your nails done. Wouldn't call somebody out. Okay.
How do you teach women how to do the things like really matter? Like, what does that look like?
Well, I think it's first of all, leading by example. I think it is in our vulnerability and transparency, which there is a difference, by the way. Transparency is, my name is Toni. I'm wild and crazy. I'm about 2 old fashions and a skinny dip away from losing it all. Boom. Okay. Transparency. All right. Like vulnerability says, these are the things that I battle with. These are the things that I struggle with. What I tell women and men all the time is we need spaces to do both. One of the spaces that you have to be transparent, which is a really like safe thing. Transparency is fine. It's social media. Be transparent, show your life, show the messy laundry and all the things. But we also need spaces to be vulnerable. And that ain't on social media. Okay. So delete that caption that you just wrote on Facebook and loop it back in and find some healthy people, safe people that can hold you accountable and also embrace your vulnerability. I say this all the time, and Dr. Kurt Thompson say it, incredible psychiatrist. It's not the grief and the pain, the anxiety and the depression that we're scared of. It's really that we would have to deal with those alone. Find your people. Find your people. Surround yourself with people so that you can actually be free to be broken. Because I just don't think it's perfection that we want. I really think it's the freedom to be imperfect and crazy a little bit and say the wild thoughts that you be thinking.
Like Toni coming on here and talking about like, get away from your kids. They're sucking you dry. You can say it.
I'm even honest with my kid. I'm like, hey, mommy needs a little space right now because I want to show up and be my best self to you. I'm really like impatient. I'm really angry. I'm really like, I don't know, I'm like stressed out right now. And I don't want to be that to you. And I will if you don't give me a little space. Okay. So I'm going to take these 5 minutes and I'm going to loop back. But how much more does it mean when a kid can do that? When they're seeing their parent and they're like, okay, I'm frustrated. I'm upset. I'm not going to throw this laptop. I'm going to take a small little break. We want that. We want people like that in our lives. The question is, are we willing to be that? Are we willing to be that for people and do that hard work, you know?
And I think a lot of us would say, maybe not right now. And I need to take some steps towards that. You know what I mean? What do those first steps look like, do you think, for people that are like, I'm paralyzed. I don't even know what all this means. Like,
Yeah, I think you have to get around people that know more than you, which is another really hard thing. For me, that was a counselor. My circles, when I was processing through divorce and drugs and all the things, like they weren't very healthy. Okay. And it wasn't until I started to, one, transition some of those people out and make space for healthier people. And two, admit that I needed professional help. Okay. We get all the professional help when it comes to our bodies. Come on, somebody. Okay. Let's fix those right up. Let's add a little lip. Okay. We're going to go to the professionals. We want the best of the best. We don't want our Botox all messed up. No, we don't, sweetie. We want the best of the best. We need to have that same posture when it comes to our mental capacity, our emotional capacity, the way that our neurons wire and fire together. If you're listening to this right now and you're like, what are neurons? How do they wire and fire together? That's the problem. Okay. You don't actually know that you have neurons, that you have these little cells in your brain that are attaching to unhealthy behaviors and firing from that place, reacting from that place. I didn't know that either, though. There ain't no condemnation there. I'm not trying to judge you. What I'm saying is maybe get around people that are smarter than you, that can teach you about those things so that you can start to heal them and control them and be your best self.
Let's talk about something that's been trending lately, but not all of us like to talk about: gut health. Y'all know I forced you to talk about it here on the Healthy with Heather Brown podcast, and we've actually done a few episodes that have touched on it. If you're like me, you might be looking to find a probiotic to help support digestion and your gut health. It can be a struggle to find a probiotic that works for you, especially if you don't like taking pills or have specific dietary restrictions. So I'd love to share with you my new probiotic, Mary Ruth's Organic Liquid Probiotic. Not only is this probiotic USDA certified organic and vegan, but it's an easy to take flavorless liquid that can be mixed into water, your morning shake, coffee, or just taken on its own. It seriously tastes like nothing. Mary Ruth's Organic Liquid Probiotic is formulated with 12 vegan probiotic strains to support a healthy microbiome, which is important to promote gut lining health and also to support a robust immune system. For a limited time, just for my listeners, you can get one organic liquid probiotic 2-ounce size for free. Yes, free. Just go to MaryRuthOrganics.com and enter code Heather Brown. Again, go to MaryRuthOrganics.com and enter code Heather Brown. So, Toni, one of the things that a lot of women have said to me throughout this podcast journey is like, okay, Heather, I know you have your inner circle of friends. I want to find people that can be my friends. You're traveling a lot. So what does that look like for you to connect with people and have good people in your corner, other than your therapist, which is always an option?
Right. So my therapist be traveling with me. Let me just say that, honey. We be on these Zoom calls. Okay.
Boom, that's right.
So we're checking in. But also I have friends that lean in and that understand my lifestyle. And there was a season when I didn't. I have a very diverse group of friends, white, black, all the different things. I've got single girls on my crew, married girls on my crew, divorced girls on my crew, like all the things. And they do different things as well. The defining trait that made them a part of my inner circle is that we are leaning in at all times. Actually, the first of the month, I have a calendar little thingamajigger that pops up and says, check in with your friends. And we're doing that for each other. Because the truth is, like, I got kids out here, okay? I got kids and I got a cute man. I always want to spend time with him. Like, at the end of the day, like, it can slip me by. These friendships can slip me by. Like, the capacity can, like, just dwindle down. Well, sometimes when my capacity is dwindled, much so like on the road and on tour, I need friends that I know are going to come for me, right? Like, hey, girl, how you doing out there on the road? Like, what's going on? How you feeling? Let's plan something. Let's schedule it. I have friends that live in different states. It's like, hey, you're going to be in my neck of the woods. Like, let's get 3 hours together. We just need friends that are going to lean in, right? Like, they're just going to check in all the time. And you also be that friend as well.
Yeah, I think I'm stealing that trick. I'm going to put that in my calendar, like maybe a mid-month, end-of-month check-in or something like that, because you're right. You just need like a physical reminder sometimes to ding you on that phone.
Got it. Boom. Got it.
Exactly. So I'm going to transition you a little bit to, you've got a 7-month-old, which is like, whoa. So tell us, I know, right? If y'all could see Toni's face right now.
I'm in shock still. Okay. Am I okay? I've got a fupa. I'm trying to get rid of it. Okay, here we go.
As you should be. So can you give us a fairly quick version of the birth and the recovery? Like, how are you processing? How are you feeling, wheeling, dealing, all the things afterwards?
Well, let me just tell you, the Instagram doctors, they lied. Okay. All of them.
All of them.
All of them DMing me, commenting on my stuff. Oh, this is your second kid. You're gonna it's gonna just slip out like a wet baby seal. Liars. Liars, all of you. My son just didn't want to come. He was like, no, girl, I'm straight. The world is crazy. Did you not see that 1 year, 2020? I'm not trying to come there.
I'm saying in here, it's warm. I'm insulated.
Oh, snap. So it was tough. I had to be induced. I was induced in all the ways. Okay. And if women know, you know, all 3 different techniques of induction to finally get him to come. When he did come, it was like 3 pushes. And I was like, oh, there you are, bud. Thank you so much. Almost lost it all here in this hospital.
Oh my gosh.
It was literally just me and my husband. No one,
sweet.
We didn't have anyone. It was just the 2 of us and it was beautiful. And when we came home, my mom was here from Texas and my daughter, and I still have the video. I can just like imagine it in my head. We walked through the door and my daughter just like tears up and she's just like, oh my God, like he's so tiny. And she's like laughing. She was like, I'm crying. There's like things coming from my eyes. And it was just like super sacred. And a lot of people don't talk about this either, but I actually shut my organization down like on a little sabbatical during this time because I know me. I'm going to be answering emails. I'm going to be doing the things. I'm going to be on a Zoom call breastfeeding. Okay. And it's like, you can't. And so I shut it down and I just said, we'll be back. Like, we're going to take some time off because I really wanted to enjoy it. And for my first daughter, I mean, it was very hard. Like, we were super poor. I was at a really toxic church working on staff with them crazy people. And it was super tough. And so I really wanted to be on the offense, not the defense when it came to my son. And it was just that, I mean, I laid up with that sucker on the couch for like 5 weeks. And my husband was like, sweet girl, you need to bring your behind back to bed. I was like, I'm not ever leaving.
I'll be here if you need me. Just check in 5 weeks.
Oh, it was so bad. And then I was like, okay, I need sleep. And so then we got on the schedule. Hello, somebody.
Oh, what schedule did y'all do? What book?
So there's this thing called Moms on Call.
We did it too. We did it too.
I am still in shock. Truly. It's like sorcery. I don't know how they figure this out, but I'm like, yes, Laura, whatever, Dr. Laura, nurse,
Right.
Laura. I'm in. Sweet. And I recommend it to everyone. And anyone that I find like see with a kid, I get their address and I send them the books.
Oh, Toni, the Moms on Call book is one of my top sellers on Amazon every year. Like my people eat it up with a spoon. It's so good.
It's so, girl, I'm still looking through the little, I'm on book number 2, ready.
There you go. That's right. Exactly. We'll link them in the show notes. Don't worry. So talk with us a little bit, though. You mentioned obviously like the church, toxic church culture, blah, blah, blah. You've also mentioned divorce. So I had Ashley Turkhurst on earlier this season, and we talked a lot about church hurt and divorce and those kind of things. So do you mind just weighing in a little bit for the women? And I'm like, I try not to cry. Every time I talk about this, I cry. I get DMs at least a few times a month that say, I hear you talk about your faith. That's great for you, but I've been really burned by the church. And I really wish that I could believe like you do, but I just am too hurt. What do you say to those people? Because you've walked it. You've walked it.
Oh, I didn't walk through it. I mean, so many toxic church stuff that I've walked through. First and foremost, let me say this. I had to go on a journey, and the first pit stop that I made was the awareness and the honesty that I was worshiping a pastor and not a savior. The truth is, my wounds from my childhood and my longing for a father made me think that it was okay to surrender my all to a pastor. And unfortunately, I surrendered it to the wrong, unhealthy, crazy little pastor. But there was a pedestal that I put him on that I wanted to rip him off of when I left. And while he deserved it, and still to this day does, deserve to be ripped off the pedestal, I think there was a realization and honesty, like maybe it's a little bit of like healthy pride that said, a man doesn't get to dictate my faith. It's going to be a freaking no. It's going to be no. Like there was this awakening in me that said, I'm really about to let someone who doesn't value counseling, who doesn't value like healing and hope, take away my faith It's good. Immediately no. Because when we have an unhealthy situation with our, fitness instructor, we just go find another one, don't we?
Right. Exactly.
We don't like our nail tech because sis keeps ripping off our dang cuticles. I'm like, ouch, it hurt. Stop.
And we're done. We're done here.
Stop, Kim. Like, I just asked for another one because I'm about to get these nails done. That's the posture I've had with like this whole church thing. It's like people are too small to start and end my faith with them. And then I had to realize where my unhealth and toxicity played a part in me choosing these unhealthy and toxic places. Why? Why did my first church experience look like this, where I had a pastor that told me that my purpose and my gifts were connected to him, and that if I ever left the church, then God wouldn't bless me anymore. Like, that's sick and psychotic. That's rough. But I was attracted to his aggression and control because that's how my father was. It's the same reason why I got into my first marriage. I was attracted to aggression and control and ended up in a toxic, abusive marriage. That's on me. They get to take responsibility. They have to take responsibility for their actions. But I take responsibility on my yes and amen to someone who I was not supposed to have into my life. And that's what I've done. And like, I ended up at a healthy church, but I only ended up there because I was healthier. I could start to see the red flags. I could start to identify, oh, this is unhealthy behavior. Oh, nope, I'm not going to go there. Okay. Like, I'm going to go somewhere else. And I think what I would say to that person is just like, ooh, don't let a small human dictate your faith, because that's just dumb. You don't get to have that part of my life. It's going to be a no.
Honestly, that is so groundbreaking. Like, I have not thought about it that way, but you're exactly right. Yeah.
I'm like, you mean to tell me like I'm about to play around with like faith that literally doesn't even have anything to do with humans, but I'm going to let humans shape it.
Yeah. It is so small-minded.
I will sit my behind at home on Sunday for that. Okay.
Right. Oh my gosh. That's really good. Okay. So you talked about like you see red flags. What would you say are warning signs for you with a church and or even like just in your life where you're like, whoa, that's a red flag, this behavior, I need to recharge? What do those look like for you?
So I think pastors that give power on the platform outside of themselves, that's a good thing. Okay. When you see a pastor and he's the only person that can preach on a Sunday, teach, whatever, like me personally, I just believe that even Jesus chose other people to speak on his behalf. So why is it that only one singular broken, imperfect human being can speak like for 52 weeks? What kind of power you got? You didn't get no special assignment out here. Okay.
Right.
So that's really big. I also think the amount of time you serve at a church matters to pay attention to. I remember like serving, like the church being like my end all be like, I mean, I was there all the time. I was asked all the time, 60, 70 hours a week. I'm like, I don't have time to have a healthy family.
What? Anything, a healthy marriage.
I don't have time to have a healthy family. Churches that don't promote holistic health, meaning like, are you healthy at home? Are you healthy in your fitness, in your finances, at your job? The church should be a part of our life, not our whole life. Our whole life really should be God, if that's what we choose to believe. From that place, everything else flows. And our family actually comes before the church. So don't get that twisted. And I just think churches that talk about that and say, we don't want you to run yourself dry. We don't want you like that. Don't treat serving and volunteerism like it's a job. Like it's like the end all be all. I think that was a super huge red flag that I just didn't notice. I was like, because the more I serve, like maybe the more I'll get in heaven. It's going to be a no. It actually doesn't even count. You know what counts? How much time you spend with God, not in the four walls of a church made by man. So sorry. Okay. Surprise. You get no gold stars for that.
Yes, that's good. Now, what about red flags in your personal life where you're like, ooh, I can tell mama needs to recharge? And what does that look like for you?
I get super irritated. So I'm not a yelling girl, but I am a sarcastic girl. When I start getting shopping, I know, surprise.
Can tell.
Hi, y'all. When I start getting a little smart with the tongue, that's when I know. That's when I know. But also I suffer from anxiety. And so I can, tell my red flags in that. Sweaty palms, get really, really energized by small things. So small things make me really on edge. Like, walking down the stairs, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to drop my kid. Like, I can tell those are the things, right? Like, we don't think about those things, right? Like, oh my gosh, I'm crossing the street. I'm about to get hit by a bus. Like, that's anxiety, folks. Okay. Just surprise, And so I try to really pay attention to those little things and not just brush them off like, oh, girl, like, don't think that. You're fine. Your baby's fine. It's like, no. What's rising up in me? What needs to be checked? What needs some quiet time? All the things. But also, I really live a life on the offense, not the defense. Truly. I have a replenishment cycle that I am very strict about. It includes the outdoors, doing that 2 to 3 times a week.
Toni, I had never heard the word replenishment cycle until like 3 months ago. Will you explain that to everybody?
Well, I did a Tom Patterson Institute life plan, like a life planning coach. And one of the things he said that really helps with stability in your life, of course, but also with energy to do the things that you really desire to do, your dreams, your plans, the things that define you, that break your heart, et cetera, is being able to be on the offense, not the defense, to be at a replenished state all the time. And so you build a replenishment cycle. And we could start here. What are the 3 things that give you like joy, that fill your cup up, that make you feel awesome? For me, getting my nails done is a big thing. My hair, if my hair looking ratchet, I'm feeling a little ratchet myself. And the outdoors. I love nature. Figured that out during COVID. I was like, we can't stay inside. We need to go outside. I bought a bike. Yeah, what you do is you identify those 3 things, and then you identify their frequency. How often do you actually need them to stay at a very stable place? And so here comes my replenishment cycle, getting in nature 2 to 3 times a week. Every 2 weeks, I get my hair and nails done. Those small things really that keep me replenished, not for myself, not just for myself, let me say that, but for my family as well, for the people that deserve the best of me, right?
Yes, amen. And we have been talking about that so much on this season about how moms so often just put themselves last. And you just think like, well, I'm supposed to keep serving and serving and serving my family. But it's like, but you're not serving them with the best of you. So nobody wins. Nobody wins.
Yeah, you popped off on your 3-year-old. Okay.
Exactly. I'm guilty of that. I did that yesterday, actually. So there's that.
100%. My sweet 8-year-old, I'm like, you're an adult. And I'm like, no, not an adult. She's a kid.
Oh, this is a total sidebar, but Janelle told me that Sam calls his stepdaughter something really cute that she was like, everybody should use this. What's the term?
Bonus daughter.
Bonus daughter.
Bonus daughter,
so
bonus
sweet.
dad. It really came from a place of like suckiness. It was divorce and wanting to make sure that we honored her dad in it because he was still in the picture. And, just being honest about like, hey, let's set some boundaries here. Let's let her choose. She was only 2 years old when we got married. And so it's like, hey, like, let's let her choose and figure this thing out when we got remarried. And so yeah, it's her bonus dad.
I love that. Okay. So this is kind of going back to like, obviously you recently had a baby. We're talking about kids. What was something that was the most helpful to you right after you had the baby? And then also maybe like what made you feel the most loved in that moment? Like what kind of brought you joy in it?
I love that so much. I think, people love this whole bring a meal thing, but I don't want that.
Okay. What you want?
I don't want that. Okay, I don't want to have to warm this up. I don't want to have to question what you put in here. I don't want to have to ask about these ingredients. Okay. What I want is a gift card. Okay. So that I can control my own stuff. Okay.
That's good.
So
That's
really
good.
Cool. My friends set up this like gift card meal thing situation. And it was just, I'm like, I can order when I want to order. They deliver it to the door. It's hot and fresh. It's the things that I actually want. If there's any season that we can just be selfish with the things that we put in our bodies, it would be when we birthed a freaking human out of our bodies. But the thing that made me feel loved, it was really cool. And no one could have done this. No one could have orchestrated this. But when I had my daughter 3 days before, her dad had lost his job from all kinds of crazy stuff. And we were just so broke and so scared. And it was just a really, really hard time. I think the way that God redeemed our story by like us sitting on a couch and I was able to buy diapers whenever I wanted to. Like, let's just say I didn't have enough. I could just buy them. Like, I just felt so loved by God. Like just the hard work that I did by my freaking counselor who helped me heal and redeem my story. Like, it just was awesome to be like, I can just buy things. And
yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, I grew up where we were like, well, we get $40 a week spent on groceries. And like when you're living on a budget and you watch, God does bring you out of just crazy stuff. It's wild.
Crazy. This is nuts. I can just I'm like buying little outfits and I'm like, wow, I can afford this and I can afford to be home for as long as I want. What? that's privilege. Like I got privilege here. I know so many moms. I've walked with so many single moms, so many moms that have struggled with finances, and then me, myself, and my story. And so to have that moment where my whole story had changed with just my second kid, it's just, that's nuts a little bit.
That's really cool. So do you have any words of encouragement for mamas that are either new mamas or maybe even like this is you had one baby and now you're like making the transition to the second or third? What do you feel like are kind of like your best words of wisdom at this point?
Well, y'all know Moms on Call, 3 words. You know what I'm saying? Like, get the freaking book. I don't even care what you believe at this point. Just get the book. Okay.
It's fabulous.
And if you hate it, whatever, it's all good. But who hates sleep? Anyways.
Not me. I love sleep. I'm cranky if I don't get sleep.
I choose sleep over anything. Okay. I think the first thing, and we always say this, ask for help. It sounds so cliche at this point, but we also don't it just doesn't get into our souls, right? But I think it is difficult to ask for help. So maybe that's not your stilo. Maybe what you actually need to do is be on the offense about it and build a circle that will meet your needs, even if you don't ask for it. I mean, I had friends that just showed up. They're like, I know you don't want people in your personal space. I dropped some stuff at your door. I'm going to come. Which times work for you? I'm going to just be with the baby so you don't have to hold them. Having friends, having a circle of people that knew me, knew what I liked, didn't like, et cetera, like it was awesome. And I would say build that circle if you can, for sure. And then help if you can.
And you can. Snaps, girls. Let's go. Okay. So next question, Toni, is please just go ahead and tell us about your book. It's called Brave Enough to Be Broken. It's definitely something that I've been wrestling with over the past year. And so I was very excited to see that this book was coming out and to get to have you on to talk about it. So just tell the listeners about it a little bit.
Yeah, man. Brave Enough to Be Broken. I mean, the title really is, in a nutshell, it's pushing us to a different type of bravery. I think for years and years and decades and centuries, we have thought that bravery looked like showing our cute little car and our nice little kids and all the things. What I just think real bravery is when you can admit the things that have broken you, that have just drug you behind through the mud. And I think the way that we do that is really in the subline of the book, which is, how to embrace pain and find hope and healing. I just think that if we're going to heal it, we got to name it. I think in order for us to name it, we've got to get in the trenches of our pain and be honest about what has broken us. What did we go through as children, teenagers last year that really caused rifts in our story? And press into that, be honest about that, invite people to be with you in it, and then go get the help that you need. And that's what the book is. And it's not like this memoir stuff, whatever. It is like a roadmap. That's one of the things that I told my publishers early on. I'm like, if you want oh my gosh, Toni's story and everything she's been through, it's just not what you're going to get. I'm a practical Patty. We need some steps. We need A to Z. How do we do this well? And so I've taken a lot from my courses and put it into this book, this bite-sized content, so that people can be like, okay, check. I've transitioned this toxic community out, and check. I found a counselor, hated that counselor, dumped that counselor, found a new counselor, did my work, real practical steps to doing this well. So Brave Enough to Be Broken.
Yes. And I will say, Toni, what is a red flag for you with a counselor? Because I want to speak to one thing that I'm seeing recently, and it is when you're not finding a Christian counselor that believes in marriage and that marriage is something that you're to fight for biblically. And obviously there are the reasons biblically that you can, get a divorce, but that is oh my gosh, such a huge red flag. And I don't feel like anybody's talking about it. It's killing me.
Yeah. What was interesting is that, so during our marriage counseling, we decided early on that we would have a Christian marriage counselor and then we would have a non-Christian marriage counselor. And I mean, it's hard. We're in the Christian space a lot. People were like, what? I'm like, yes, because sometimes our marriage needs our faith and sometimes it needs our surrender. And our surrender to saying, nope, I'm wrong. Nope, we need to practice a new strategy. Nope, you have anger issues. This isn't about your faith. This is about who you are and how you have been functioning and some of the things. And I think it gave us a really, really beautiful, great balance to doing marriage really well. And so also, it's up to us to ask those questions early on, right? That's why in the book I say, you got to date your counselor. You got to ask the questions early on. What are your beliefs on this? If this happens, play scenarios out. What would your advice be if I did this? I remember asking a counselor one time on our introductory call. I was like, hey, do you consult with leaders? I'm on stages a lot. And she's like, well, everyone's a leader. I'm like, no, it's going to be a no, Joy. Bye. Okay. I don't need this whole, don't do that. You know what I mean? Okay. Yeah. Everyone's a leader. Got it. Okay. My 8-year-old is a leader. All right. Sometimes I don't want her to be. Got it. What I'm talking about, right, is like your specialty in what it looks like to carry the weight of all eyes on you, of 65,000 people watching you all the time. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, Joy.
Joy, get it together.
No, you're not the one, sweet girl. I just think we have to ask those questions early on. And I think we just have to honor that humanity is colorful. And that means that we're different, that we process things differently. Your husband is different. Okay. Your husband's colorful. Okay.
Very.
Your kids are going to have two different little children that came out of the same womb that are very different. We have to be okay with that and honor the dignity of who they are and be okay with disagreement. We can give dignity in disagreement, and keep it moving.
Yes, agree. Well, Toni, I have one final question for you. And I ask it to everybody that comes on the podcast. And that is, what's your favorite thing in your health journey that's making you feel like yourself right now? And it can be anything that just makes you feel like you.
I just ordered a Peloton bike.
Oh, okay.
I am so excited about it because I love to work out, but these bones are just not as strong as they used to be. You hear what I'm saying? Like,
I hear you.
P90X insanity, like I just can't do it. Okay. If I attempted to do the worm at this point, I think I would break my scrotum in half. There's some things that my body just can't do. I can't be jumping up and down. Pee is coming out. Like I just don't have strength anymore. And so I'm just excited. What I'm excited about specifically is not giving up on my health journey when it comes to fitness. I'm not giving up. No, I just need to find, okay, there's a bike. I can sit down. Got it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, those are the things. It's like fighting for health because it's a fight every day. We drift towards imperfection. We drift towards toxicity. It's in our nature. We have to fight for health. And so I'm proud of myself for fighting for that.
I'm proud of you for fighting for that too, Toni. And I'm like, and let that be an encouragement for y'all. If you hate your gym, quit going there. Get something different. Try a new thing. You don't have to hate it.
Don't let it do that to you. So yeah.
So Toni, anything else you want to tell them about where they can find your book, where to find you online before we roll out?
All the things. So Toni J. Collier on all the things. ToniJCollier. Brave Enough to Be Broken is the book. Still Coloring Podcast is my podcast, which is crazy. I'm just as wild and crazy on there. And yeah, you can just come on over and join all the things.
That's right. Yes. Well, thank you so much for coming, Toni. I so appreciate you. You the best.
You.
All right. I love it. Well, y'all give Toni a follow. Make sure you subscribe to her podcast. I wish y'all could see her. She just danced like a fool over here. I love it. But she is awesome. Go follow her on all the platforms and tell her hi. Let her know that we sent you over there. And maybe I'm like, ooh, what's something fun y'all could tell us? Ooh, tell us what your next fun thing that you're going to do is. We want to hear it. Have a great day. If y'all think I'm a little crazy, just wait till my favorite guest joins me in the Marriage Corner. It's my hubby, Eric. All right, here we are back in the Marriage Corner with Eric.
Hey.
Hey. Eric and I are getting really excited because we're getting ready to go to a Nashville Predators game this weekend, and I'm freaking counting down the minutes.
It's definitely something that we've always done. Even when we first started dating, that was one of the things we do is go to Nashville, and before the Predators were as popular as they are now. So yeah, looking forward to that.
They've really come a long way.
Come a long way. Had one run to the Stanley Cup Finals, and Nashville just is growing
so fast,
very quickly.
Yes, no doubt. Eric, what's your favorite thing about hockey games that you feel like women who have never been, like, what do you think is cool about hockey in person that people might not know?
I think it's a lot like baseball or just a lot of sports on television in general. You can't really understand just how fast the game is. And when you're there at the game, it's just continuous action. So there's not, stops and plays, whether it's football where you have to stop for somebody goes out of bounds, or, it's basketball when it goes out of bounds, or there's timeouts all the time. It's just constantly moving, and just seeing those players skate and the skill they have. It's also just like the sounds, the smells. It's different in a hockey arena than most places as well too. So,
Eric, do you feel like you're in a hockey arena right now? I'm sweaty from the gym. So if you only had the smell of ice added in, it'd be like you're in the hockey arena right this moment.
I'm not getting the same vibes, or a little bit different right now, but a little similar.
I will say that we went for the first time to a Birmingham Bulls game, which is obviously not nearly the same as an NHL game. So don't get it twisted, as Toni Collier would say. But if you go to an NHL game, the energy and the level of excitement, it really is just next level. Like, it's so much fun. Think like the height of like an Auburn game. Like, it's super intense, and I love it. I thrive in it. It feels like my childhood all over again, but better.
We always do fun little games where I ask you to name 3 players. And even if you don't know them, we'll have the little brochure, the game day handout, and I'll ask you to pick 3 players who you think might score a goal. So it's always just fun keeping an eye on those players as well, too.
That is fun. We usually make bets, like whose player is going to do the best. And then maybe you have to do like laundry or whatever else.
I'll go buy you the next drink.
Yeah.
Usually it's a win-win. So.
True, for sure. So Eric and I have been hearing from you guys that you really like the fun random trivia things that we do sometimes on the podcast. And one of the most popular questions that you've asked me was to name all 4 presidents on Mount Rushmore. And so Eric was like, oh, cool. Then I'm going to come up with another like trivia question for you. So I'm like sweating even more over here now thinking about what you're going to ask me next.
I did tease the trivia questions in a prior podcast episode. Wanted to give the people what they wanted. So,
That's right.
I will say some of these questions are a little bit difficult. And then at the end, we're going to do a little bit of a lightning round in regards to U.S. capitals.
Okay. Do you think you know all the capitals?
I know a fair amount of them. There might be a couple that trip me up.
Sure.
It's been a while since I did 8th grade U.S. history.
Okay.
Which I think, I don't know, that'd be interesting to see when most people learned all the capitals.
Oh, that is a good question.
What grade.
Yes.
I want to say it was right around 7th or 8th grade where you had the trivia. You had to name all the capitals.
I think it was 6th or 7th grade for me too.
Oh, so you said 6th or 7th? I think it was 7th or 8th.
Okay, well. Alabama versus Indiana. Who knows?
That's true. You did go to private school.
I did. So that's a little different for sure.
All right. So first question. What city was the first capital of the United States? So the capital of the United States.
Washington, D.C.
So that's what most people think.
Oh.
But
Philadelphia.
Also what most people think. It's not Washington, D.C. or Philadelphia. It's actually New York City.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Huh.
George Washington made his first inaugural address on April 30th, 1789. And that was the location of the country's first capital.
If you knew that and you're listening, major props.
Right. Other cities that have served as the capital at one time or another include Philadelphia, Baltimore, which I didn't know.
Oh, okay.
Lancaster, Pennsylvania for only 24 hours.
What? There has to be a crazy story there. I'm sure there is.
Princeton, New Jersey. So I think you have to remember when the Revolutionary War was going on, you had the First Continental Congress, and they were always moving around. So the Congress was always moving around. I think a lot of that was where their capital was. So
that's very interesting.
What else? Princeton, New Jersey, Annapolis, Maryland, which is where the U.S. Naval Academy is now.
Oh, yeah. Go Navy.
And Trenton, New Jersey. So a lot of those northeastern cities up there.
Okay. Gotcha. So I just said go Navy because my dad was in the Navy. Eric, I know your granddad served. Was he in the Army?
I had one grandfather in the Army and one grandfather in the Navy.
Okay. Yeah. We love you, military. Thanks for serving.
Yes. So you did pretty good on that. So most people, I think, would say Philadelphia, if not Washington, D.C.
But now we know New York City.
New York City. Yeah. I do like this next question. So what were the names of Christopher Columbus's ships?
Ooh, Santa Maria.
It's one.
Anna Maria.
No.
Oh.
That's an island.
Oh, yeah. Anna Maria Island. No, yeah. Oh, shoot. The Pinto.
Wow.
Pinta. Yes.
Well, hold on.
Okay. He's like, don't get too excited. So the Santa Maria, the Pinta.
You're kind of doing these in reverse.
Oh, really?
Most people say, I'm pretty sure there was a song that you...
Nina.
Yeah, the Nina.
Yes!
So most people rip them off. The Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. That's just what most people do. They rip them off. But that is not actually correct.
What?
So only one of those three...
Are you serious?
Only one of those three was one of the ships, the Santa Maria.
Okay.
Second ship was actually the Santa Clara.
No way. You're lying.
And the other one is unknown.
Wait, so why is it in that song wrong?
These U.S. history teachers, they're just, they're teaching it's false news.
Wow, that's crazy.
I'm just going to read you this real quick.
Okay, yeah, tell me.
The Santa Maria was indeed the name of one ship, though the crew called it La Gallega.
La Gallega, okay.
After the province where it was built, Galicia, which is in Spain.
Okay.
The second ship was the Santa Clara, but was nicknamed the Nina. So Santa Clara, but nicknamed the Nina due to the fact that it was owned by the man named Juan Nino, Finally, the third ship wasn't officially deemed the Pinta, but that's the name that was given to it by saucy sailors who were inspired by the Spanish term for... Anyways, a Spanish term.
Okay, there we go. Nice. You had to censor there, huh?
Yep. Spanish for Lady of the Night.
Oh, hey.
So,
wow.
anyways.
Well, Eric was a Spanish minor, so great pronunciation on those. I butchered it, but great job.
I appreciate that. It's been a little while. And so a couple more before our lightning round of the U.S. Capitals. So we're recording this right around Martin Luther King Day. So got some questions kind of related to that a little bit.
Okay, bring it.
So... do you know the city in which Martin Luther King was born?
Ooh.
There's one that I think most people would probably say that's associated with Martin Luther King, but...
is it somewhere in Georgia?
It is.
Okay. I don't think it's Atlanta. I think it's around Atlanta.
So I'm going to give this one to you.
Okay, thank you.
The fact that you said Georgia and you said Atlanta, it was actually Atlanta, Georgia.
No way. Oh my gosh, you're kidding. I almost said that. I was like, no, that's going to be another one where he's like, you thought you knew, but you don't.
So I think most people would probably would initially think Memphis, Tennessee, but...
not me. I went with Atlanta.
Born in Atlanta, Georgia.
Dang, I should have just said it.
All right, so this is a difficult one.
Okay.
But if you get this, I will be very impressed.
I'm like, they've all been difficult, babe.
So, who was the first Black Supreme Court justice in the United States?
Oh, literally no idea. I don't even have an educated guess. No hypothesis. I have got nothing. I'm so sorry.
Most recent, Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Okay, yes.
Before that, Clarence Thomas, who's still on the Supreme Court.
Okay.
And actually the first Black, let me see here, sorry.
See, I'm like, if you didn't even know this.
So I actually did know this.
Okay.
Just how I want to pronounce the question. Who was the first Black Supreme Court justice? Thurgood Marshall.
Thurgood
Marshall.
Will you spell Thurgood?
Sure. Thurgood.
Okay, Thurgood. Okay.
So I believe
Thurgood Marshall.
I believe he was confirmed in the 1960s, but I have to do some more research. I feel like those are good, just random trivia questions.
Yes, they were.
Be interested to see. Those were kind of tough, so be interested to see how people did with those trivia.
Yeah, let us know how many you got correct. Leave us a comment in your review and tell us how many of Eric's history questions you got right on this episode.
I felt like you did pretty good there.
Thanks. I'm going to give myself a fair pat on the back for that one.
All right, so we'll wrap this little marriage corner up with the lightning round.
Okay.
All right, this is U.S. capitals. I'm going to give you about 10 of them.
Ooh, okay.
So we're going to start off pretty easy, all right?
Okay.
All right, so we just talked about the city, Tennessee. Capital of Tennessee.
Is it Memphis?
Oh, man.
Oh, no. Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. Rocky Top. Okay, hang on. Well, because you just said Memphis. That's why I thought you said I was going to know it. Is it not Nashville?
No, it is Nashville.
Oh, okay, Nashville. But you said, I just said it. So I was like, I guess it's not Nashville. You tricked me. You tricked me. No, I got that one.
All right, second one, Florida. It's a little bit more difficult. Some people, No,
I should know this. Eric's whole family lives in Florida now, essentially. Okay, it's not Tampa. That's where his family lives. I feel like I would know it if it was that. Dang it, what does it start with?
T.
Oh, is it Tampa?
No, it's not.
Okay, good.
Do you know where Florida State University is?
FSU is Tallahassee. I did know that one. Okay, Tallahassee.
Got it. All right.
The Tallahassee Tiger Sharks. I don't know if they're still around, but they used to play the Birmingham Bulls when I was in elementary school.
All right. Yep. That's how you guys can remember that. The Tallahassee Tiger Sharks.
Right. Such a dead giveaway.
Yeah. All right. Easy one.
Indianapolis.
Boom. Got it.
That's where Eric was born. Close to there.
Let's go.
Fort Wayne.
So let's go with Arizona. What's the major city in Arizona?
Phoenix?
Yes.
Great. Okay. I almost said Sedona.
Sometimes I think you
overthink it.
Yeah.
Totally.
Things. Colorado.
Denver.
Yep. Got it.
Yes. We're headed there soonish.
All right. We're going to make these a little bit more difficult. All right.
Oh gosh. Here we go.
Wisconsin.
Ooh. They've got the Cheeseheads, right? Green Bay Packers live there.
Cheeseheads. Yes. Green Bay is the city there. So you have to think to yourself, on a lot of these capitals, most of them are centrally located in the states.
As if that helps me.
All right. Gotcha.
I'm from the South. They've never been to Wisconsin.
University of Wisconsin.
Montpelier.
That would be Vermont.
Oh, dang it.
But it does start with an M, so Madison. Madison is the capital of Wisconsin.
I was not going to get that. Sorry, Wisconsin people.
All right, a few more. California.
I should know this. It's not San Jose. It is not L.A.
Not L.A.
Oh, I don't think it's San Diego or San Francisco.
Starts with an S.
Oh. No, don't know.
Sacramento.
Dang it. Okay. I knew what it wasn't. I couldn't remember what it was.
We're batting about 500, about 50% on these so far. We're doing all right. All right. Tough one. Pennsylvania.
I feel like I definitely... Wasn't Pennsylvania one of the 13 original colonies?
It was.
Pennsylvania. Does it start with a P?
Does not.
Oh, okay. What does it start with?
So if it doesn't start with a P, that rules out Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. Starts with an H.
Hereford.
Oh, wow. No.
Oh, dang it.
Hereford, Pennsylvania. Capital.
Is that a city? Hereford?
Probably
somewhere not in Pennsylvania.
We were looking for Harrisburg.
Oh, shoot.
Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Was not going to get there.
All right. Let's get back on track here.
Okay.
Massachusetts. Come on.
Dang it.
Yes.
Massachusetts. Oh, gosh, babe. This is embarrassing.
You got this.
Ooh, I know you're going to say it. I'm like, oh, yeah. But what does it start with? I'm drawing a blank. Boston, Massachusetts.
Got
Never
it.
been. Would like to go. Boston, right? That's how they say it?
Two more in the lightning round. Georgia.
Okay. Atlanta.
Yes.
Okay.
And last, do you want an easy one or a hard one?
I want hard. Let's challenge the people. I'm not so much worried about me anymore. I want to see if they know it.
All right. It's a pretty difficult one. Nevada.
Ooh, Nevada. Not Las Vegas.
Not Las Vegas. Starts with a C.
Also, let's talk about the fact that you just said Nevada. What'd you say?
Nevada.
Nevada?
Yeah.
Isn't it Nevada?
Nevada.
Maybe that's a Southern versus Midwestern pronunciation situation. Nevada. Yeah, that. What does it start with?
Caramel.
Caramel,
No, it's
Nevada?
not. No.
Caramel.
Anyways.
Caramel.
I don't think most people would get this one. If you did and you're listening, more power to you. I probably would have had to have looked this one up anyways. Carson City.
Oh, was never going to get that.
That's
No.
a tough one.
That was very
you know
tough.
what?
Jeez. Carson City. Never even heard of that, I don't think.
You know what? I don't know if you would have passed your 6th grade capitals.
I think I would have gotten an F on that. Dang it.
You know what? It was a valiant effort.
You know what? I'm one of those people that I memorized it and I took the test and I aced it and then I dumped it out my head. Sad, but true.
Most people do that. But you know what? I appreciate the effort.
No, you say that. I feel like men in general, I feel like remember more history than women do. You remember a lot of history. Or at least the men I'm around and the women I'm around. You know a lot more than...
Maybe it's because men are, I don't know, there's like a narrative to history. I don't know. But anyways, I think you're probably right on that. But anyways, I appreciate the effort. It was a good job.
He's like, you really stunk it up, but great effort.
I always remember Hereford, Pennsylvania. I appreciate our Nevada.
Yes, for sure. Do great. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed our lightning round of capital cities. Maybe Eric will bring it back again if you guys like it. I hope y'all have a beautiful day. And please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And we would obviously love a rating and review. It truly is the lifeblood of this podcast. So if you give us a rating and review, it helps other people find us. It helps other people hopefully just feel encouragement in their day. And we're just really grateful for each of you. Thanks for being here. Love y'all. Bye. Hey girl, hey! If you're loving the show, I would love to hear from you. Please be sure to go on over to your podcast app, scroll down to where it says ratings and reviews, and tell me your thoughts. It really does mean so much. Your words might just be what the next person needs to tune in and start living a healthier life from the inside out. Thanks!